Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. In this exercise, inshallah, we will learn about the use of asa, and we know that it's a verb. It only has past tense like laysa, and it does not have present or future. So it's similar to laysa when we talk about the grammatical context. Now we can see here that it says asa an-naqisa. So when we talk about al-af'al an-naqisa, what comes to your mind when we say al-af'al an-naqisa? We have learned in detail, right? The verbs that have weak root letters as the third letter, right? Like da'a, yad'u, and hada, yahdi. So in da'a, we can see that waw is the third root letter, and that's a weak letter. And in hada, ya is the third root letter, and that is also. So what is the difference between al-af'al an-naqisa and here the one that we are talking about? The ones that I mentioned earlier, those are the ones that are defective when we talk about the root letters. But these are the ones that when we talk about the grammatical function. So those are called al-af'al an-naqisa, and these are also called al-af'al an-naqisa. But here, why we call them naqis? It's because they cannot deliver the meaning by themselves. They need a mubtada and they need a khabar. So that's why they are called al-af'al an-naqisa. For example, we have kana, we have asa, and then kana and the family of kana, like laysa. So all of them are called al-af'al an-naqisa. So first we see here asa an-naqisa. So that means asa has two types. So when we say an-naqisa, that means it has mubtada and khabar, and we know that mubtada and khabar, it changes into ismu asa, and then it changes into khabaru asa. So when we look at this one, it says asa Allahu an yaghfira li. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me. So now here we can see that it cannot communicate the meaning by itself. So it needs what? It needs ismu asa and it needs khabaru asa. And do you remember something special about khabaru asa? Khabaru asa is always al-masdar al-mu'awwal, always. Al-masdar al-mu'awwal, that means it comes with an and then it comes with the mudari, that is mansub, as we can see over here. Then we have asa at-tamma, la ismun wa la khabarun. So it behaves like a normal noun, a normal verb. For example, we say dhahaba bilalun. Dhahaba is the verb and bilalun is the fa'il, right? Similarly, we say kharaja bilalun, kharaja muhammadun, zaydun. So zaydun, muhammadun are the doer, and kharaja or dhahaba are the verbs. Now here, when you say it is at-tamma, that means here it is behaving as a verb that is tam, that is complete, and it does not need ismun wa khabarun anymore. So what happens? We have asa, and then after that we have al-fa'il, the doer, and the doer is an yaghfira li Allahu. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, or I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me. So here al-masdar al-mu'awwal is the fa'il, is the doer. So here it does not need ismun wa khabarun. And we need to know about this now because there is going to be a lot of discussion about asa and about asa an-naqisa and asa at-tamma. So it's very simple. After asa, if you see a noun after that, it means it is defective. It cannot communicate the meaning unless it needs mubtada and khabar, and it needs ismu asa and khabaru asa. And after asa, if we do not see a noun, that means this is asa at-tamma, and it is functioning as a normal verb, and similarly, it only needs a doer, al-fa'il. So is this clear?
Yes, Ustad.
Okay, excellent. So now we get into the discussion, as we can see over here. Asa is a verb signifying hope or fear, like la'alla. So it signifies two things. It can be hope or it can be fear. Asallahu an yatuba alayhim. So here, what kind of asa is this? Naqisa or tamma?
ناقصة أستاذ.
Naqisa. Excellent. Why?
اسم
Because we
الجلالة.
see a noun ismul jalala after that. So we will say that this is ismu asa, and we know that khabaru asa is always al masdar al muawwal. Perfect. So it is hoped that Allah will turn to them in forgiveness. So here it is used in the context of hope. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. It is feared that you dislike a thing while it is good for you. And such a beautiful verse of the Quran. There are so many things in our lives. When these things happen to us, we really don't like them. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that maybe you dislike it, but it is good for you. For example, if someone loses a job or gets sick or faces any difficulty with regards to family or children or job or work, so he becomes slightly disappointed because we are human beings and we are weak. So what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us here, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. It is feared that you dislike a thing while it is good for you. So whenever difficult times come, and Alhamdulillah, I always remember this verse. So whenever a difficult time comes, I always remember it, and I try to seek the help of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and that's why we are learning the Quran. That whenever we are, because Quran teaches us Tawheed as well, and we know that whenever the time comes, difficult time comes, we have to always, uh, you know, um, ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for help, and do not ask or do not think that why it happened and how it happened. Asa can be used both as incomplete and complete verb, as we mentioned previously. An incomplete verb, al-fail al-naqis, is a sister of kana, and it takes ism and khabar, as we discussed. Asallahu an yafu anhum. It is hoped that Allah will forgive them. Here, lafz al-jalala is ismun, and al-masdaru al-muawwalu an yafu is khabarun. Remember that its khabar should be masdar al-muawwal, as we discussed that khabar is always al-masdar al-muawwal. So what kind of asa is this? This is complete asa, or we said asa at-tamma. Its ism can be a pronoun, as we know, because asa is it's a past tense. It's possible to conjugate it, so you can conjugate it from asa, asaya, asau, asat, asata, asayna, asaita, asaitum, asaitum, asaiti, asaituma, asaitunna, asaitu, and asayna. So we can see here that asaitu is basically I, right? So I hoped. So asaitu an atazawaja hadal amma. It is hoped that I will get married this year. Here too is ismu, as we can see here that whenever we have the past tense, so we know that except for from number 1 and from number 4, there is always the doer is always inside inbuilt. So here basically it is ana, right? So it is basically the doer is ana, and as per the grammatical aspect, we will say tu is the doer. So it's basically ana asaitu, and then we can see here that ana is ismu asa, and al masdar al muawwal is khabaru asa. A complete verb, al fi'l tamu, is followed by its fa'il. Dakhala al mudarrisu. So we know that when we say dakhala al mudarrisu, the teacher entered. It's a complete verb, and we know that dakhala is the verb and al mudarrisu is the fa'il, or the doer of the action. If asa is used as a complete verb, it is immediately followed by the masdar al muawwal. Asa an yahdiyani rabbi. Here it was yahdiyani, and ya al mutakallim has been dropped. Sometimes ya al mutakallim gets dropped in the Quran. For example, lakum dinukum waliyadin. So it was basically waliyadini. So whenever you see that after the verb you see noun noon and it has kasra, that means that ya al mutakallim has been dropped. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. So that is also وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِي, and then ya al-mutakallim gets dropped. And similarly, lakum dinukum waliyadini, ya gets dropped. And here we can see asa an yahdiyani rabbi. It was basically an yahdiyani rabbi. And this is the usloob of the Quran. And this is how it is. So that's why we have to learn it as it is. It is hoped that my Lord will guide me. Here the masdar al-mu'awwal an yahdiya is the file. So here, because after asa we don't have a noun, so that's why we will say that this is complete asa. Here it is verb, and this is the doer of the action, or this is the file. We know that al-masdar al-mu'awwal can be file as well. Again, we can see one more example. In asaitu an arsuba, I am afraid I will fail. Asa is incomplete, and in asa an arsuba, it is complete. So why here it is incomplete and here it is complete? Why? Because here
pronoun is used as pronoun two is
Noun
the
also.
okay, excellent. So it has a noun, right? So whenever it has a noun, it has ismu asa. That means it is incomplete or naqis. And when it does not have mubtada or it does not have ismu asa, that means it is complete. Excellent. Now we have the same details in Arabic, so we can just go through a little bit faster. Asa an yakunu khayran minhum. Asa min afali raja. It is from the verbs of hope. وتفيد الترجية أو الإشفاق, and it signifies hope or fear. ترجى يترجى from number 5, and أشفق يشفق إشفاقا is from number 4. وتفيد الترجية أو الإشفاق, and it signifies hope and fear. نحو عسى الله أن يتوب عليهم. It is hoped that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them, or perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them. أي يرجى أن يتوب الله عليهم. It is hoped. Raja yarju is the past, and it is active. And when we talk about the passive, it will be rujiya yurja. So yurja is used a lot in Arabic language. It means I request you. It is requested. Please. So yurja, it is hoped. It is hoped أن يتوب الله عليهم, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them. And we know that when we have taba yatubu with the preposition of ala, that means the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the slaves. And when we ask forgiveness, we say astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh with ila, so I ask his forgiveness. And then we have ba وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم أي يخشى أن تكرهوا. It is feared that the thing will be hated. تعمل عسى عمل كان, and it works like كان. ويكون خبرها فعلا مضارعا مقترنا بأن. However, its khabar has to be fi'l mudari, the present tense, and it has to be connected with an. It has to be connected with an. That means it has to be al-masdar al-mu'awwal. نحو عسى الله أن ينفعنا بك. We hope that we will inshallah benefit from you, and we hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we will benefit from you. هنا لفظ الجلالة اسمها والمصدر المؤول أن ينفع خبرها, as we discussed earlier. وفي عسيت أن تفسد في الأرض. It is feared that you will spread corruption in the earth or on the earth. أفسد يفسد إفسادا is to spread corruption or to make something corrupt. التاء اسمها, so here ta is ismu asa, and أن تفسد في الأرض will be خبر عسى. والمصدر المؤول أن تفسد خبرها. وتأتي عسى تامة, and it is also used as a complete verb. أي تكتفي بمرفوعها, and it is restricted or it is sufficient that it has only the doer after that, or the noun that is marfu after that. And we know that after the verb, the noun is always marfu, and it is the doer of the action. Like we saw that دخل المدرس, the teacher entered. فلا تحتاج إلى الخبر, and it does not need predicate. وذلك إذا وليها أن والفعل, and it is only in that case when it is followed by an wal fi'lu yani al masdar al muawwal. نحو عسى أن يهديني ربي. هنا المصدر المؤول فاعل عسى, and here المصدر المؤول is the doer of عسى. My Lord will hopefully guide me. So we can see that it can be translated as hope and also fear. But if you're not sure about if to translate it as hope or fear, then you can translate it as perhaps. وفي كيف محمد الآن, and in the sentence how is Muhammad now, عسى أن يكون أحسن, I hope that he is doing fine or he is good. يجوز أن يكون عسى ناقصة, it is possible that it can be عسى الناقصة. وذلك إذا قدرت فيها ضميرا مستترا, and that is only if we say that there is a hidden ضمير inside it. And what is the hidden ضمير inside it? As we know, that is هو. وإذا لم يقدر, and if it is not hidden, فهي تامة, then it means it is a complete verb. So when we say عسى أن يكون أحسن, so we will say that here there is a damir al-mustatir, and what is damir al-mustatir? Huwa, inside it. So when we say that huwa is inside it, then please remember that it is going to be asa an-naqisa. Why it is going to be asa an-naqisa? Because we are saying that there is a hidden damir inside it. However, وَإِذَا لَمْ تُقَدِّرْ فِيهِ فَهِيَ تَامَّةٌ, but if we do not say that there is a hidden damir inside it, and we use it as asa, then we will say that this is asa at-tamma. And now let's look at the examples. Asa naqisa, asa Allahu an yahdiyahu. It is hoped that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him. Asaitu an anjaha, I hope that I will succeed. So here, lafz al-jalala is the fa'il or mubtada or ismu asa, and here two is ismu asa. And then we see asa at-tamma, asa an yahdiya Allahu. It is hoped that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him, and we can see over here that there is no noun after that, so that's why we can say that this is asa atamma. Asa and anjaha is the same thing. I hope I will succeed. Asaytum an tafhamu. I hope that you got a clear idea about it now.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, if that is the case, then let's do the exercise. حول يحول تحويلا, and حول here it means to convert or to change. حول asa الناقصة. So we have asa الناقصة, that means it has a noun and it has subject and predicate, right? إلى تامة فيما يأتي. So we have to change it into إلى asa التامة. That means it will come without the noun and it will come only with al-masdar al-mu'awwal. For example, أسيت أن تعود غدا. You hoped that you will come tomorrow. أسيت يعني أنت أسيت أن تعود غدا, that you will return tomorrow. Now we have to change it into التامة. So what we have to do?
Asa and Tawuda, then we can say.
Ahsanti, yes. So the only thing that we have to do is to bring asa over here, and we have to delete it, because then if we put it here, then it becomes a naqisa. And to make it tamma, we have to only bring asa over here. Asallahu an yaghfira li. I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me. Asa an yaghfira li. أن يغفر لي ربي, أو عسى أن يغفر الله ربي, or عسى أن يغفر الله لي. So we know that غفر يغفر comes with the preposition of li. So you can either say عسى أن يغفر لي ربي, or you can say عسى أن يغفر الله لي. Both of them are possible. Either you can use lafz al-jalala or you can use Rabbi. Both of them have the same meaning. Aina zumala'una, where are our friends or colleagues? Asaw an yahdaru ad-darsa. It is perhaps they will attend the lesson. So it is hoped or feared. We don't know if they will attend the lesson or not. So if we say perhaps they will attend the lesson, that would be the perfect translation. Yes. أين زملاؤنا? Yes.
Asa.
Excellent. Yeah. So we will definitely change it into asa. The only thing, because when we say asau, that means we have hum inside it. It will be hum asau, right? Yeah. But when we say asa, that means this is a tamma and there is no need for the dhamir. Asa an yahdaru ad-darsa. كيف الطالبات الجدد? How are the new students? عسينا أن يفهمنا الدروس. It is hoped, or I hope, it is hoped that they understand the lessons.
Asa ay yafhamna.
Excellent, yeah. So كيف الطالبات الجدد؟ عسى أن يفهمنا الدروس. It is hoped that they understand the lessons. So if I have only my audience is only the female, so I will say عسى أن تفهمنا الدروس, right? So if we have only, and if we don't have, then we can use like for the masculine, and we will say asa an yafhamu ad-durusa if we are talking about both masculine and feminine. But if we are talking about only feminine, then we can see over here an yafhamna ad-durusa is for the ghaib, for the ladies that we are talking about. They are not physical here. But when I talk about the ladies who are physically here, so what will I say? Asa an tafhamna ad-durusa. I hope you understand the lessons. حول عسى التامة إلى ناقصة فيما يلي. Now we have عسى التامة and we have to change it into الناقصة. So that means it does not have a noun, it does not have mubtada, it does not have ismu asa, and we have to bring, or we have to put over here ismu asa. Asa an nuqbala fi darasat al-ulya. It is hoped that we will be accepted for the higher studies.
Asayna an nuqbala.
Excellent. Yeah. So now we have to do the conjugation. So if you know the conjugation, it will be perfect. Asayna an nuqbala fi dirasati al-ulya. We hope that we will be accepted for the higher studies. Excellent. Asa an tusafiri gadan. Perhaps you will travel tomorrow. Wa anti tusafiri yani. I'm talking to the second person feminine. Yes. Excellent. Very good. Asayti an tusafiri gadan. And basically it was tusafirina, and we know that after an, that noon gets dropped. Yeah, excellent. Asayti. So here na is ismu asa, and here ti is ismu asa, as we can see over here. Asa an يسمح لنا المدير بالانصراف. We hope that the manager will allow us to leave. Yes. We have mudir over here. Yeah. So yeah.
Asa al-isma'a. Asa al-mudiru.
Excellent. Asa al-mudiru أن يسمح لنا بالانصراف. Excellent. So because we have the, please remember that whenever we have the doer and the doer is apparent, then we have to keep it. We cannot drop it. So we will say, عسى المدير أن يسمح لنا بالانصراف. So the next one is عسى أن يتحد المسلمون. Perhaps the Muslims will be united. Excellent. So عسى المسلمون أن يتحدوا. Excellent. Yeah. So it was basically أن يتحدون, and we know that because of an, that noon gets dropped, and then it is compensated with this alif, as we can see over here. Excellent. Okay. أدخل عسى في جملتين من إنشائك, from your own composition. Ansha yunshi insha'an is to start something, to do something, and it is used for the composition as well. Ala an takuna naqisatan fil ula wa tammatan fil ukhra. So in the first sentence, it should be asa an naqisa, And the second sentence, it should be asa tamma. So we have examples over here. Asa Allahu an yaghfira li, as we saw it previously. So here it is a naqisa because it has ismu asa and it has khabaru asa. But here we have asa tammatu, asa an yaghfira li Allahu. I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me. Asaytum an tafhamu ad-darsa. I hope that you understand the lesson. So here, asaytum is the doer. So basically, tum is the file, or we will say ismu asa, and this is khabaru asa. And if I say asa an tafhamu ad-darsa, then that means it is used as asa at-tamma, as a complete asa, and that's why there is no need to use noun after that. Ma, how many types of ma do you remember so far? I wanted to like bring them all, but somehow I couldn't manage to do that. Maybe I forgot, but let's recall how many types of ma do you remember so far? The first one I remember is ma al-istifhamiyya. That is used, the first one that we learned in book number 1, ma al-istifhamiyya, that is used to ask a question. Masmuka, what is your name? What about any other kind of ma? Yes?
Al-Mawsula.
Mawsula is, yeah, okay.
Nafia.
An-nafiya, okay.
The one that was for common nouns. I don't remember the name.
Okay.
That was used as an adjective before common nouns.
You can say sir.
What about ma at-ta'ajjubiyya?
Tajibiyya, yes. Ma asharat this.
Okay. What about ma ash-shartiyya? وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله. Okay. Ma al-masdariyya, I think you talked about this, right? What about ma al-kaffa? إنما الأعمال بالنيات إنما المؤمنون إخوة. So we have learned about istifhamiyya, which is ma al-istifhamiyya. For example, yani ma ismuka wa masmuka wa ma tilka bi yaminika ya Musa. If one example from the Quran, if you remember, inshallah, that will be perfect. Then we have learned about ma al-mawsula والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك, or ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Then we have learned about ma shartiyya, وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله. And then we have learned about ma at-ta'ajjubiyya, ما أجمل السماء ما أجمل السيارة. There is also one kind I remember, ma al-ibhamiyya. إن الله لا يستحي أن يضرب. Do you remember the verse?
مثلا
ما بعوضة. Yeah. So that is ma al-ibhamiyya, or because that always comes after the common noun.
Yeah.
Or before the common noun. Sorry, yeah, that always comes before the common noun. So that is like ibhamiyya. Excellent. So ma al-kafa. Do you remember ma al-kafa?
إنما الأعمال بالنيات.
Excellent, perfect. Okay, so alhamdulillah, around 7 or 8 types we remember. So inshallah, we need to compile them so that we don't forget again. So today's ma that we are going to learn is ma al-masdariyya. You remember I told you in the beginning of the lesson that normally it comes after the dharf, and that's the easiest way to remember it. It comes after the dharf. It can be ba'dama, it can be qablama, it can be hinama, and it can be aynama. All of them, as we know, are dhuruf. Yeah. So qabla, ba'da, hina, and ayna. So in the Quran, in the 4 places, whenever it is used in the Quran, or like in Arabic, that means it is ma al-masdariyya, and that is the easiest way to remember it. So here, ba'da ma dakhal al-madrasu, after the teacher entered, here ma along with the verb that follows it has the meaning of masdar. So ba'da ma dakhal al-madrasu means ba'da dukhul al-madrasi, after and after the entrance of the teacher, right? Or after the teacher entered. So what the second way, which is a little bit difficult, is try to change the verb into al-masdar. So if you know the masdar, that is fine. And we know that the forms that we have learned from 2 to 9, the masdar are easy to remember because they are named after their masadir, right? But the verbs that have 3 root letters, normally they have different masadir. So if we remember that, so what we can do after ma or after bada, we can put that masdar al-masdar, and then we can see the meaning, and inshallah it will be easy to understand. That is why this is called ma al-masdariya, the ma of infinitive. And you know that infinitive can be translated as ing and going, and it can be also translated as to go. So base infinitive plus gerund, it can be translated in both ways. And the infinitive, the verb that follows it can be madi and mudari. So there are both of the possibilities are there. سأريك المجلة بعدما يخرج المدرس. I'll show you magazine after the teacher leaves. So now it's easy to recognize because it comes after ba'da, right? So it's easy to recognize that this is ma al-masdariya. But if you want to go into further details, then what you can do, you can replace this with khuruj, with the what do we say, masdar, and inshallah it will be easier to understand. Ba'da khurujil mudarrisi, after the leaving or after the departure of the teacher. Now we have in the Quran, فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So taste the punishment for your rejection. هذه ما المصدرية. فَبِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ يعني بِكَوْنِكُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So again, as I said, that kana yakunu, and that the masdar of kana is kaun. So we can see over here that بِكَوْنِكُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ وَكَذَلِكَ بَعْدَ مَا انتهت الصلاة يعني بعد انتهاء الصلاة. So we will try to see that if we can change it into al-masdar al-mu'awwal, or if we can see that it comes after dharf, that means it is ma al-masdariyya. Then we have قال تعالى لهم عذاب شديد بما نسوا يوم الحساب. أي بنسيانهم يوم الحساب. They are forgetting of the day of the judgment. For them is a severe punishment for their forgetting, as we can see over here, the day of reckoning or the day of judgment. So we can see over here that the translation basically will definitely tell us that, or by transferring it into al-masdar, we will be able to understand that if it is ma al-masdariya or it is ma al-mawsula, because it can be slightly confused with ma al-mawsula, because we know that ma al-mawsula also comes with the prepositions, isn't it? For example, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So from what we gave them, or when you look at the translation, basically. So when you can translate it as which or that means that is ma al-mawsula. Again, if you can translate it as which or that means it is ma al-mawsula. And if it cannot be translated as which or that means this is ma al-masdariyah. We have learned in book 2, lesson number 11, that khabar coming after amma should take fa. You remember the example from the Quran? فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. Okay, so we see that whenever we have amma, after amma we have fa. It is connected to that. And the example that we learned was أَخِي يَدْرُسُ بِالْمَدْرَسَةِ أَمَّا أَنَا فَأَدْرُسُ بِالْجَامِعَةِ. So we know that after amma, we must have fa after that. In the ayah, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. No fa, because the khabar has been omitted. So that's, as I told you, what is Arabic? لغة الحذف. Yeah, it's the language of omission. And especially in the Quran, subhanAllah, it happens a lot. And that's why we are learning the Quran. And believe me or not, that's what we call tadabbur. And alhamdulillah, that's what we are doing. So if we are able to figure out, and if we are looking into these small details and trying to understand it, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept it from us. It is, as it is evident from the context, the omitted khabar is فَيُقَالُ لَهُمْ. It will be said to them. Here is the translation of the meaning with of the ayah. So we can see, as for those whose faces will be darkened or they will turn black, it will be said to them. So you see the translation? It will be said to them. فَيُقَالُ لَهُمْ. But in the verse, do we have here فَيُقَالُ لَهُمْ? We don't have over here. So that means we can't say that the rule has not been implemented over there. The rule has been implemented over there. However, this is the balagha of the Quran and the rhetoric of the Arabic language, as we can see over here, that sometimes something gets omitted. And inshallah, we will definitely get used to it. I also, to be honest, whenever I would recite it and go through this verse of the Quran, I never realized until I came across this point and I noticed over here, and from these lessons, I mean, from these books, that after Amma, there is no Fa. So what happened? And then after that, when we reflect and when we try, then inshallah, we can figure out that something has been dropped. So it's the same thing in Arabic. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ أَكَفَرْتُمْ هُنَا جَوَابُ أَمَّا مَحْذُوفٌ وَتَقْدِيرُهُ فَيُقَالُ لَهُمْ, and its hidden meaning is that it will be said to them. All right, so we are almost finished, alhamdulillah. Hati Mudariya, Faqada. Meaning and the present tense, please. I'm sure you remember the meaning now. Does anyone remember or not? فقدت ساعتي. فقدت قلمي.
Give yourself.
فقد يفقد, to lose something, isn't it? And then we have istaka. From number 10, we haven't done it yet. Istaka, yastaku. That means to clean your teeth with like a piece of wood. And that's what normally we call miswak. ما معنى الوجنة وما جمعها? Yes, does anyone remember the meaning of wajna? When the teacher's cheeks became red because the student annoyed him. إحمرت وجنتاه. Do you remember that? So we have to look for two things, the meaning and also the plural. So al-wajnatu ma martafa min al-khaddi, something that is like the upper part of the cheek. Wa tujma'u ala wajanatin, and the plural is wajanat. So as we discussed in the lesson as well, it's like the part of the cheek. And here we can see that this is the upper part of the cheek. Normally it's the cheek, but you know, the Arabic language, subhanAllah, it has its own beauty and it has several meanings. So al-wajna and wajnatani, and then we have wajanatun. Alhamdulillah, our lesson is finished. So inshallah, in the next lesson, we will discuss the verses of the Quran and some vocab, and then inshallah, after that, we will start our next lesson. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وإياكم.